This is Janine Smith with another exclusive tutorial for tipsquirrel.com. Recently, my fellow Photoshop nut Gavin Hoey posted a great tutorial on an out-of-bounds effect that I loved. Just for fun, I decided to use the technique on an old photo and change the background up a bit to an inlaid wood tabletop with some old photos strewn about under the out-of-bounds photo. That background is what I'm going to go over in this two-part series. The first part is the wood inlaid tabletop. So let's open Photoshop and get started. For this project, you'll need two tones of wood textures, a dark and a light toned wood. You can find some great examples on free for non-commercial use texture and photo sites. Or you can take your own photos, as I did here of my son's drum set. You'll also need a graphic to use for the inlay pattern. And these you can find on free for non-commercial use clip art sites. Or of course you can always purchase any or all of these on stock photography sites also. To begin, let's get this screen back to a one image shot. And we'll start here with the graphic. The first thing we need to do is to take this white background out. Now you can always go over to your selection tool and select your white background, especially on one that's so clean in between the white and dark. On this one, however, the image goes all the way to the end, top to bottom, and it would be a little more work just to sit there and select in all these areas. So to make it a little easier, we'll go up to Select, Color Range, and select the white. If it is a little fuzzier between the white and the graphic itself, you can always go to your Add to Sample eyedropper and click in the areas that are a little fuzzier, if they're a little gray or whatever. But this one's really clean, so we'll just hit OK to accept. And then you go to Control on a PC or Command on a Mac and X to delete the white area. Next, we want to get this graphic into the dark wood image, which is going to be our background or our tabletop. An easy way to do this is to get your Move tool here and just grab onto your graphic and pull it over to the tab for the dark wood and down into the image itself. And then you can move it wherever you want in the picture. You want it to be sort of centered, not exactly centered. You don't have to have it, perfect. But you don't want it, what I'm saying is you don't want it super big, going from top to bottom or side to side, because we're going to be distorting the tabletop in a perspective angle. And if you did that, it wouldn't look like it was in the middle of the table. So you want it to be a little smaller than that. Next, we want to go over to our thumbnail for our graphic and press down Control or Command and click on that thumbnail to select. Then we'll go to our light wood, Control or Command A to select all, Control or Command C to copy, back to our background, and then go up to your Edit menu, Paste Special, and Paste Into. You'll notice that the texture itself does not go to the top and the bottom of the graphic. So to fix that, we want to go to our light wood, make sure it's selected, which of course it is, but just make sure, and then Control or Command T to transform, grab onto the handles, and move it up and down or wherever you need to cover the entire graphic. And click Enter to accept that. Next, we want to get just a little bit of a stroke around it. I've gone on the internet and looked at real wood inlays, and they have a little bit of an area around it where you can tell it was actually inset to the wood, but the best ones have a very small area around it. And that's what we want to do. We want this to look like really good wood inlay. So now we'll go to our graphic thumbnail and select that. Control or Command and click on the thumbnail again to select. This time we'll go up to the layer above it and select it, and then down to Add New Layer. Make sure your foreground color is set to black. go up to Edit, down to Stroke, and then pick something that's pretty small, 2 or 3 pixels, outside location, and click on OK. And then Control or Command D to deselect. We want to take this down a little bit. I think it's a little bit stark, so take it down to about 75, even down to 50 if you think that looks better. You see there's just a little area where it looks like it was actually inlaid into the wood, or hopefully it does. Now we want to combine all these layers onto their own layer, because we're going to distort our table so it looks like it's laying flat and we're looking out over it. So what we want to do to combine all these is, on a PC, Shift Control Alt E, or on a Mac, Shift Command Option E. That's the handful shortcut. Now we want to get rid of these layers here. We don't want to get rid of them for real. We just want to have them so they're not visible. So what we'll want to do, we can either go to each eyeball here and take it out so it's not visible, or a short way to do that is hold down Alt or Option and click on the eye icon for the layer you want to keep, and all the others are now invisible. And then go over to Control or Command T to transform, and get in this area here where the transform is. Right click, go down here to Distort. Holding down your Shift key, go to the bottom handles and bring them out from the graphic. Now let the Shift key go and go up here to these handles and bring them down. If you keep the Shift key held down, you're just going to take it down the same place that these are, and you want them to come in further. And bring it down to a good angle. You want it to be kind of straight. Without the Shift key, you're going to have to eyeball that so all these rough edges and ridges are not there. That's pretty good. And you can bring it in a little lower if you want. And that's good for right now. And when you find the angle you like, just hit Enter to accept that. And there you go. Now you have a table that you're looking out over. You can have a background, if you like, of a gradient or a solid, just to be the area outside the table. For right now, we'll just make a new layer under the distorted tabletop, and we'll fill it just with black. That's good enough for now. And next week, we're going to get a series of photographs, and we're going to put them in frames, and then we're going to put them together and distort them so that they're laying on the tabletop also underneath the out of bounds effect photo. If you'd like to use this wood inlay effect on a more detailed graphic, simply select the different areas and fill them with more wood tones. Thanks for taking the time to watch, and I'll see you next time on tipsquirrel.com.